Our story will begin momentarily, but first I want to let you know that this story will have two alternate endings. I couldn't decide which of the two endings I liked more, so I just made two of them. There will come a point late in the story where I give you a chance to pause and choose which ending you want to listen to, but until that moment, I hope you enjoy and let's get right into it. Our story begins on Exegol as the broken down Darth Plagueis makes a grand declaration after over a decade of misery and waiting. It is time for an awakening. He will be the one to turn Skywalker, and before long, the galaxy will bend to a reborn Sith Empire with him at the helm. And as Plagueis prepared to call out to Anakin, his mind drifted to the beginnings of all of this. So long ago, Darth Plagueis, known to the galaxy as Ego the Mask, disappeared from the galaxy for 2 decades. His apprentice, Darth Sidious, thought that he was on the world Abora for 20 years. But in reality, he was on Exegol, preparing for his life after death. 20 years before his death, Plagueis realized that Sidious leading the galaxy was the best path to achieving ultimate victory. Sidious would lead in the public, and Plagueis would wait in the shadows. So, over those 20 years, Plagueis worked on Exegol with everything that he had. The funding to create a massive Sith fleet and a hidden army was of little issue. Over many decades, Plagueis manipulated the banking clan funds, discreetly giving himself more than enough to put it all together. He took a group of Kaminoans long ago, bringing them here, and having them begin cloning the Sith cultists. Exegol held nearly 300,000 cultist clones and Sith troopers, all conditioned to worship Plagueis as the immortal architect of the Sith rebirth. And with the time to reveal himself coming shortly, there were 50 total planet-killing Star Destroyers here. His army was built up of warriors taken from the Outer Rim that were ignored, people desperate for purpose. Anyone who sees the galaxy with hatred was brought here over the years, conditioned into pure loyalty as Sith troopers. And so when Palpatine eventually betrayed him and Plagueis died, his spirit came here into a cloned body. But he was weak, far weaker than he'd planned. He needed someone strong in the dark side to heal him by influencing his midichlorians to bring back life. Palpatine could not be trusted for this, and so Plagueis watched young Skywalker from a distance, realizing he would be the ultimate prize. Plagueis had around a dozen elite spies infiltrating the Republic, and they'd secretly placed cams all around some of the most important places in the galaxy. Plagueis could see into Palpatine's office, into the Jedi Council, the Sith lair in the industrial sector, Dooku's castle, and many other places. Plagueis watched Anakin's training. He could feel his relationship with Padme, and Plagueis infiltrated Anakin's mind as a dragon of darkness, influencing him to feel it. The war pushed him deep into his own power, and Sidious was greatly assisting Plagueis without even knowing it. Anakin used the dark side to kill Dooku, and as the war was in its final days, Plagueis could sense Anakin's visions. He was in Anakin's mind, and he would finally show Anakin the path to finding him, as Palpatine has revealed the tragedy of Darth Plagueis. On Coruscant, Anakin was having nightmares of Padme dying. He was determined to find a way to save her, no matter what. And after Palpatine told Anakin about Plagueis, Anakin's nightmares would return once more. This time, Plagueis infiltrated them, calling to Anakin, telling the boy that he is alive, showing Anakin how to get to Exegol, but he must come alone. Anakin did not hesitate. He would retrieve the Wayfinder from Mustafar and make his way to Exegol without checking in on anyone. He was solely focused on finding Plagueis to save Padme. Anakin would spend the trip to hyperspace calming himself. He could feel familiarity in Plagueis, as if he's always been with him, waiting. And Anakin knew this was a trap. The Sith surely want him dead, so he must be ready for anything. Anakin would land, and he would walk with fear and excitement through the blue Sith world. It appeared empty, and yet he could feel the presence of thousands, waiting, watching. And Anakin would use his blade to light up the area, moving into an area with vats of beings, only to soon turn, hearing a raspy voice calling out to him, "Plagueis." Anakin swung his blade, stopping it an inch from Plagueis' face, and the Sith Lord opened his crusty, glossy eyes, staring at Anakin with a terribly ugly smile forming on his lips. Plagueis said he's waited so long for this moment, so long to reveal Anakin's true destiny of becoming his apprentice. Anakin would tell Plagueis that he's here to kill him, not to join him, but Plagueis laughed softly before telling Anakin there's no need to lie. His curiosity is obvious. His desperation cannot be hidden. They both know he's here to seek the answers to saving Padme, and everything Palpatine told him is true. He has the power to save her, or at least he had the knowledge to teach Anakin how to save her. Anakin would hover his blade an inch from Plagueis. He knew he could end the Sith right now, and yet he couldn't do it. He needed to save Padme. He can't live without her. So Anakin put his blade down, and he asked Plagueis what he must do. Plagueis said it is rather simple. The only way to unlock the power is by fully embracing the dark side, and both of them know how much Anakin has resisted it through the years, despite him feeling the power that resides deep inside of him. So he must now make a choice: turn to the dark side, become his apprentice, and only then will he be able to save everyone that he loves. Anakin asked Plagueis why is he trying to do this? How does he even know he can trust him? Plagueis told Anakin that his own body is extremely weak. He's dying, but if Anakin fully embraces the dark side, then he will learn the power to manipulate and create life. He can bring Plagueis back to full health and save Padme, and then they can rule the galaxy together with true peace. Plagueis also assured Anakin that he doesn't trust him, and that is why he has some leverage. He brought Anakin over to see some screens from around the galaxy that Plagueis used to monitor everything, and Anakin's heart seemed to freeze as a screen would show the Senate building where Padme Amidala was meeting with some allies. The Senate guards would flash his wrist to the screen, showing the Sith logo. Plagueis said that if Anakin does not turn and join him, Padme dies, and the galaxy will burn anyways under Palpatine, aka Sidious. He told Anakin their deal is simple. He must go, purge the galaxy of the Jedi and the Sith, get Palpatine to execute Order 66, his long-term plan to have the clones turn on the Jedi, and everything else will fall into place. The Jedi are corrupt. They both know that they intend to take over the Senate and rule the galaxy. The only way to maintain true peace is to take care of all of them. But Plagueis did have one request: bring Palpatine to him. He also assured Anakin that Kenobi and Ahsoka will live through this. He has foreseen it. And before long, Anakin was back in his ship, moving through hyperspace for Coruscant. He's made his decision. If the choices are either to save Padme or save the Jedi Order, then the choice is simple. He knew he could gather all the Jedi, bring them back to Exegol, kill Plagueis, but only Plagueis has given him a true solution to save Padme's life. The moment he struck down Dooku in cold blood, and was then denied mastery from the corrupt council, everything began to shift, and still, something was eating away at him. And so Anakin dove further into the dark side, telling himself he is not a Jedi. He knew the Jedi way was to save the Order, kill Plagueis, sacrifice his wife, but he couldn't do it. He's not a Jedi, nor is he a Sith. He is above them all, and in the end, he will kill Plagueis as well, bringing balance, eliminating both the light and the dark. And so as Anakin landed back on Coruscant, things were escalating around the galaxy. Obi-Wan Kenobi has just killed General Grievous on Utapau, and so Mace Windu brought Sazitin, Kit Fisto, and Aegon Kolar to Palpatine's office to remove him from his position as Chancellor. It was intended to just remove him, arrest him if need be, but when Palpatine revealed his true form as Sidious, the Jedi team quickly shifted to survival, and hopefully to victory. Kolar, Tin, and Fisto would die. Windu was alive, pushing Sidious deep into the office, hoping to end this, but before he could strike down the Sith Lord, Windu began grasping at his throat. It was closing, as if he left himself open to a surprise attack in the Force, while focusing solely on Sidious. Anakin would enter the room, holding out his hand, choking Windu, and Sidious would laugh with power rising in him, blasting Windu with lightning. Together, Skywalker and Sidious would kill the Jedi Master, and Anakin would tell Sidious that he had to leave Coruscant after having visions of Padme dying, hearing all about Plagueis. He went to meditate alone, and he discovered that the answer to his desires is the dark side. He told Palpatine he was coming here just to tell him that he was right about the Jedi, but seeing his true form as a Sith Lord and seeing this Jedi betrayal only makes everything make more sense. Sidious was so arrogant in his power, his defeat of the Jedi, and his desire to have Anakin that he believed every single word, and Sidious would give Anakin his new orders to exterminate the Jedi, as he would execute Order 66 across the galaxy. But as the orders came in, Sidious noticed that Anakin was not leaving. Instead, Anakin ignited his lightsaber. Sidious was already worn down from his duel with Windu, and Anakin would use every single lesson that Palpatine ever subtly taught him to fight this Dark Lord. Sidious didn't have another lightsaber in this room. He would blast lightning at Anakin, but with Anakin embracing the full power of the dark side, Sidious was overmatched in this moment. The lightning blasted back into Sidious, and Anakin would throw him hard into the wall, knocking out the Sith Lord for now. And then, Anakin would take advantage of his role as Palpatine's personal representative. He did not have time to enter the temple himself. He would use the comms to call up the blockade fleet above Coruscant, and he would tell the clones on board to enter Coruscant, target the Jedi Temple, obliterate it completely. The light side was desperately trying to claw its way back into Anakin, but he wouldn't let it. The dark side has taken him, and Anakin would watch with a tear rolling down his cheek as the Republic Venators lowered past the Coruscant night clouds, and they would unleash their cannons on the Jedi Temple. For many long minutes, Anakin forced himself to watch as the temple was blown apart. Thousands of voices cried out in the Force at once from inside the temple and around the galaxy as the clones followed their orders. Padme Amidala was inside of her apartment when Anakin arrived. Immediately she could tell something was off. She'd been watching as the temple was destroyed, and it was as if Anakin was fighting a battle inside of his own mind. He was conflicted, eyes were sad but also mad, and Anakin said that the war will finally come to an end. He's found someone who can save her from dying and bring peace to the galaxy. Anakin smiled with desperation, telling Padme to come with him, and Padme knew she had no choice, but she had an idea. She told Anakin she will come, but she must get changed first. She would go to her room, and while Anakin was waiting, Padme would secretly activate a tracking device that she kept with her for safety, leaving one half of the beacon in her room and placing the other in her pockets. Her only hope was that someone would find it and come after them. And so they would make the jump to hyperspace in Palpatine's shuttle for Exegol. Padme and Anakin sat in the front, and Padme felt chills going down her spine as she saw the unconscious Palpatine in the back of the shuttle, handcuffed, badly injured. Padme had no true idea of what was going on. Anakin was barely speaking, and before long, they would land back on Exegol. Anakin would throw Sidious's body down in front of Plagueis. Plagueis would call for a group of cultists to place Sidious into a ray shield cell next to him. And then, Plagueis would tell Anakin that the time has come. He would help to explain to Anakin how to fully embrace this darkness, and together, they will harness the power to bring Plagueis' body back to full strength. Only then can he truly save Padme from certain death. Padme began to see just how manipulated Anakin has become, all for her. Anakin would accept this. He reached out his hands, pouring dark energy into Plagueis, and Plagueis opened himself to the Force, drawing on Anakin's life force and his energy. The only way to ever get back to full power for him was by a true Darksider using their power to bring his midichlorians back to full strength. After a long while, Plagueis felt his power return, and with a loud scream of pent-up hatred, he would feel the Force around him, embracing the pure darkness that has infected the galaxy after Order 66. He stepped away from the machines, keeping him alive, feeling more alive than ever, and he told Anakin to kneel before him. Anakin instead inclined his head, asking Plagueis for proof that he can save Padme's life. Plagueis had no problem with this. He would love to use his power once again, so he reached out a hand, pulling one of the Sith cultists into his grip, choking the life out of him in an instant. And then Plagueis reached down to the loyal servant, bringing him back to life with the Force, killing him again, bringing him back to life. Plagueis did it over and over, proving to Anakin that he does indeed have this power after decades of training his mind. And so, Anakin would drop down to a knee, proclaiming his loyalty to Plagueis. Padme was horrified, and it was at this moment that Palpatine woke up to see Anakin kneeling in front of his old master, Darth Plagueis. It was all beyond shocking. Palpatine saw that he was played for so long, and Plagueis would tell Anakin that Padme will be kept inside of the medical facility here until she's ready to give birth. She will be safe. The cultists would take Padme away, as she called for Anakin not to do this. She yelled for him to make the right choice, to come back to her, but Anakin had to ignore her. He was doing all of this for her. In time, she will understand. In time, when she survives the birth and the galaxy is at peace, she will understand, he told himself. And now, Plagueis would tell Anakin to go up to the lead Star Destroyer in this fleet. It is the only one currently active, and he must activate the rest of the fleet from the lead ship as they prepare to jump into the galaxy. Anakin said, "Yes, my master," and he would walk past Sidious's cage as Plagueis turned to Sidious, telling his old apprentice he's long awaited their reunion, and Plagueis would blast lightning into the cell, torturing Sidious for betraying him so long ago. But meanwhile, on Coruscant, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Grandmaster Yoda would return to the world with Bail Organa. The two Jedi would look upon the Jedi Temple, or at least where the temple used to be. It was in ruins. Every Jedi inside was dead. Every Jedi around the galaxy seemed to be dead. And to make everything even stranger, Chancellor Palpatine was missing. Security recordings would show Anakin dragging Palpatine out of the office, with 4 dead Jedi left behind. And Obi-Wan knew the best place to start their search for Anakin was in Padme's apartment. The group would quickly find out that Padme was missing as well, but there was some hope. She left a tracking beacon under the bed, and so Obi-Wan and Yoda told Bail to stay behind, as the two of them go and find the truth of who is behind all of this. The two Jedi would take off into hyperspace, using the tracker to weave through the hyperspace route to Exegol. Obi-Wan felt completely broken. Yoda tried to hold back all of his emotions, knowing something terrible was coming, and they would soon land on Exegol, moving together through the eerie world. Yoda said they must split up. If Padme is here, then Obi-Wan must go and find her, and that is likely where Anakin will be as well. Yoda said he will go, take on whoever or whatever is waiting here. The two of them would split up as Obi-Wan went into the lower levels of Exegol, while Yoda walked towards the throne area. But before finding Plagueis, Yoda would find Sidious, chained to the wall of a cell, and Yoda immediately would feel his true identity as Darth Sidious. He was no longer hiding it, and Yoda would look beyond the cell, seeing another being, immune, moving around the area, seemingly preparing for something else. And Yoda had an idea. Palpatine would be awoken from Yoda breaking into the cell, and the most unlikely team-up of all time would begin to get underway, as Sidious and Yoda now had a common enemy. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan would infiltrate a dark medical wing of this Exegol facility. He would find Padme being watched by Sith troopers and cultists. This would be no problem for him, but there was no sign of Anakin anywhere. Plagueis was alone in the center area, near the throne, when Yoda and Sidious stepped forward together, and he ignited a long red blade, as Yoda would ignite his own. Sidious had no saber, only the dark side, and together, he and Yoda would move for Plagueis. Plagueis weaved between them, as he'd been waiting for this for decades. And then, as he got away for a moment, Plagueis' voice cut through the thunder of battle, as he called for the guards. And the red-robed guards, the same ones who stood by Palpatine for years, would march out of the shadows, having just arrived here shortly ago. Sidious's expression shattered into real surprise as he would realize the truth. His personal guard had been Plagueis' eyes and ears all along. The guards would move in, overwhelming Sidious with coordinated staff strikes, keeping him off balance, just enough to distract him. Plagueis would pivot around Yoda, and with a sweeping motion he would cut Sidious's legs, then twist the blade across his chest, finishing with a precise impalement through his heart. Sidious collapsed, a look of disbelief and betrayal on his face, as Plagueis turned his full attention to Yoda. Plagueis would raise both hands, begin ripping entire pillars and walls free from the ground. Yoda leaped from piece to piece, deflecting debris with the Force, but Plagueis hurled the collapsing structures with his full power. A dozen massive slabs of stone would crash down over Yoda, burying him under a mountain of rubble. But Yoda wasn't done. He can't be. Through sheer will, he ignited the Force inside of him in one desperate burst. The rubble would explode outward as Yoda launched himself into the air right at Plagueis with everything he had left. But Plagueis would catch him mid-strike. He stopped Yoda in the air with one hand, catching him, and Plagueis would unleash a blast of lightning so intense it turned the whole chamber white. Yoda screamed out as the energy burned through him, the Force convulsing, before finally he let the Grand Master fall, smoke curling from what remained of his cloak. But Plagueis could feel something else. Another unwelcome presence was here. Meanwhile, down in the medical wing, Obi-Wan killed the Sith troopers and was bringing Padme out of here, but she told him to wait, dropping down and grabbing a comlink off one of the troopers, calling up to the main capital ship of the Eternal Fleet above. Padme would speak to Anakin, begging him to listen to her. Plagueis lies. She will never be with him if he continues down this path. Come back before it's too late. And Obi-Wan said that he is the only one who can destroy this place. Anakin stayed silent, but Padme kept begging him to look at what Plagueis has done. He cannot be trusted. Padme told Anakin that he already has the power to save her. They don't need Plagueis anymore. He can end this. He can choose to come home. And for the first time since he arrived on Exegol, something would break inside of Anakin. Recognition that he's become everything he swore never to be. Plagueis has torn him apart. And so, with a shaking breath, he told Padme and Obi-Wan to get out of here. He will do it. And now, a break in the action, folks. There are two endings to the story, just like I mentioned at the beginning. One light and one dark. If you wish to continue without knowing how it ends, then just keep on listening. If you wish to specifically see either the light or dark side endings, then go and check the timestamps in the description below. If you want to see both, then just keep listening, and then come back and then watch the other one. If you like this idea of alternate endings, please leave a like, subscribe, comment your thoughts, and once more, check the description if you want to know which ending is which. If not, just keep listening. Back to it. Down in the landing zone, Padme and Obi-Wan would emerge and begin moving towards the shuttle. They were going to win. But suddenly, Obi-Wan paused, frozen in place, and a red blade spun through the air. Obi-Wan ignited to block it, but he just missed, as the blade sliced right through his knees. He fell hard to the ground. Padme would turn in horror, as Plagueis was moving like a phantom right for them. He lifted Kenobi into the air, turning to Padme, demanding to know what she has done. But then the sound of the Star Destroyer in the air powering up would draw Plagueis' attention. He angrily threw Padme to the ground, and sliced his red blade right across Obi-Wan's chest, killing him instantly. And above, Anakin stood on the bridge, staring down at Exegol's surface, hand hovering over the firing control, as every Sith trooper trying to stop him was killed instantly. He breathed in, telling himself he can still fix his mistakes. But then, the sky above him would begin to tear open. Plagueis' scream echoed out. He was using the dark side to call upon a force storm. The storm would obey him, and with a wave of his hands, horrific lightning cracked out of the clouds. Anakin's eyes widened as he could feel Plagueis in this storm of lightning himself. The first bolts would hit the destroyer, shaking it violently. Then more strikes would crash into the destroyer, burrowing into the hull, crawling across the metal ship, as energy would begin to detonate the reactors, one by one. Anakin fell to the ground. The destroyer was shaking violently. He tried to get back to his feet, gripping the console to try and fire the cannons, but another bolt would hit, and the bridge exploded in a wave of blue light that swallowed everything. For a split second, even as his body was thrown out of the ship, dying as he fell out of the explosion towards the ground, Anakin reached out through the Force, trying to feel Padme one last time. On the surface, Plagueis watched the lead ship explode and die, and he knew it would be no more than a small delay of time. Every destroyer would have to be activated manually, one by one, instead of all at once in the capital ship. So be it. He would have Padme brought back to the medical area, and he would have crews of Sith troopers begin loading onto every single ship, knowing it would take many days until they were ready for launch. Plagueis would go and find Anakin's fallen body on the cold ground. Such a disappointment. But he would still have uses for him. Within weeks, the Sith Eternal Fleet would launch, and the Great Cleansing would occur in the galaxy. Entire star systems would suddenly vanish into fire. Plagueis would blow up Naboo, Sereno, Tython, Alderaan, Raxus, Mon Cala, and Mandalore. These were the first planets erased to make room for a galaxy ruled by one. Darth Plagueis would rule as the Sith Emperor from the throne world of Exegol. And every year, Plagueis goes and resurrects Anakin, only to strip him apart again, feeding off of the Chosen One's life force in a ritual that keeps the Emperor immortal, and the Jedi's once great Chosen One in an endless cycle of agony, being brought back to life, stripped of his life force for Plagueis, then killed once more. Luke and Leia survived as quiet leaders in this new Sith Order, trained by Plagueis himself. Beneath Plagueis there was the knighthood of the Sith, becoming the backbone of this. Children across the world were seized and raised into a hierarchy, rejecting ambition, individuality, and desire for personal power. Their sole purpose is to protect the Emperor's rule, ensuring that all strength flows upward to Exegol. Parallel to them, the Sith Eternal Cult would spread through society, enforcing pure worship of Plagueis. Below all of these structures was the engine of the Empire, trillions of slaves from conquered worlds, all doomed to die in shipyards, mines, factories. Hope became a myth, spoken only in whispers. Most of the galaxy believes the Resistance died with the cleansing, that the Sith Empire will rule forever. Entire legions of troopers and fleets are prepared for campaigns into other galaxies, as if Plagueis has grown bored with merely one. In this empire of eternal darkness, the Sith Empire is intent on devouring the universe itself. And now, time for the alternate ending. Down on the landing zone, Padme and Obi-Wan would emerge and began moving towards the shuttle. They were happy. Anakin was actually listening to them. Of course, he's committed atrocities to the Jedi Order, but still, if he could destroy Exegol, he could begin to make up for it. They were going to win. But suddenly, Obi-Wan paused, frozen in place, and a red blade spun through the air. Obi-Wan reacted barely in time, igniting his own blade to knock this one aside, as it just seared right into his thigh, then clattered away. Obi-Wan fell to a knee. He told Padme to run. She took off, as Obi-Wan called both his and Plagueis' saber into his hands. As the Dark Lord approached, he fired powerful lightning at Obi-Wan. The Jedi Master caught it, knowing he just needed to give Anakin enough time to fire. Anakin was alone on the bridge, hand hovering over the firing control, and he searched inside of himself for the light. He felt a familiar presence, and then a vision hit him hard of a dark future. He saw Padme dead, Obi-Wan murdered, the galaxy enslaved under Plagueis, worlds burned to ash, and himself used only to be resurrected and killed over and over again. He watched the universe fall into eternal darkness because he hesitated, because he believed Plagueis' lies. And when the vision finally ended, Anakin would not hesitate. He slammed down onto the firing trigger. Padme pulled Obi-Wan into the shuttle on the surface, and she would take off right as the blast fired. On the surface, Plagueis had his hands lifted to the sky, preparing to summon a force storm. The air around him was warping, lightning gathering into a spiral above the world, but he was too late. A red beam was fired, hitting Exegol with absurd power. The ground split open as Plagueis screamed out, pouring every shred of his power into holding this world together. But the planet was unraveling faster than he could command it. The temple shattered beneath his feet. The world was ripped apart, tearing him apart, as Plagueis was shredded into nothing. Exegol detonated outward in a ring of light. Anakin stood on the bridge, knowing what must be done from here. He must make up for his destruction of the Jedi. He must destroy this entire fleet. So he turned the ship, and he would target the closest destroyer. When he fired, the blast chain reaction would jump through the formation. Reactors were overloading one after another, like collapsing stars. The shockwave would race back towards him, swallowing his own ship, as Anakin felt no fear, just the quiet warmth of knowing Padme escaped. And as the light closed around him, he saw another vision, one where Padme and Obi-Wan would go on to rebuild the galaxy. The Republic, the Jedi Order, would be built back better than before. A vision where Luke and Leia were the beacons of light in the galaxy. And Anakin knew that this was the future that would indeed save the galaxy, as he was consumed in the explosions that ended the Sith reign for good. And folks, jeez, oh my goodness. Before edits, this is 35 minutes, easily one of my longest ones. And every time I do a long one, I'm like, damn, Pendy Patrol does like hour videos. Crazy, but anyways, big video. Lots going on. I mean, yeah, I enjoyed this one. Double ending. Let me know what you guys thought. If you watched one of them, both of them, liked one, didn't like one. Yeah, I couldn't decide. And yeah, just enjoyed both of them. So appreciate you guys. Let me know what you want to see next. Plagueis, shout out. Exegol, shout out. I mean, I would keep talking about this video, but I'm like, legitimately, I gotta go edit, and I'm like worn out. So, see you guys. Hope you live. Jeez, and I'll see you in the next video.